opportunity and excitement on the Korean Peninsula. You're lucky to be Korean in 2019.
세계적인 투자 전문가 짐 로저스. SEN서울경제TV와의 특별대담. 과연 아시아의 시대는 올 것인가? 세계적인 투자 전문가 짐 로저스가 보는 한반도의 미래는?
월스트리트의 전설, 살아있는 투자의 글루라고 불리는 세계적인 투자자가 있습니다. 짐 로저스. 로저스 회장님을 오늘 모셨습니다. 이분은 남북한 통일이 되면 전 재산을 북한에 투자하겠다면서 한반도 문제에 각별한 관심을 보이고 있습니다. 조지 소로스와 공동으로 퀀텀 펀드를 만들어서 10년 동안 무려 4,200%라는 경이적인 수익률을 올린 분이죠. 오늘 로저스 회장님을 스튜디오에 직접 모셨습니다. Mr. Rogers, welcome to the program.
I'm delighted to be here, Mr. Lee.
I'm
a fan. Good.
Okay. I'd like to begin with the latest news on North Korea. The U.S. media outlet, the Politico, just reported a couple of hours ago that former U.S. President Jimmy Carter has expressed his willingness to visit North Korea to help promote the stalled talks between U.S. and North Korea. Do you think is this a good idea?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't think he can mess it up any more than it is right now. Anybody who can give America a way to save face and start again is good.
You know, he was there in 1994 in the midst of another pending crisis at the time.
Yes.
And Jimmy Carter was, I'm sorry. Bill Clinton was at the White House, and he helped avert the pending crisis at the time. So do you expect him to play a great role this time around again?
That's 25 years ago. As I said, it cannot hurt. America needs a way to save face so that they can start again. Trump walked out. Now he's got to get a way to walk back in. And Jimmy Carter may be the way. I don't know.
In your view, what's the prospect of the U.S.-North Korea denuclearization talks?
The prospects are good because everybody wants this. North Korea, South Korea, China, Russia, everybody wants this. Most people, Japan doesn't want it, but everybody else wants it. So, no, it's going to happen one way or the other.
So you sound pretty much optimistic.
I'm probably the most optimistic person you know about Korea and the prospects of the future. Yes, Korea is going to be the most exciting country in the world in the next 10 or 20 years. When all this gets resolved, Korea is going to be fabulous.
Okay, on what grounds are you so optimistic about the future of North Korea in particular?
Well, you don't take North Korea was destroyed. It was ruined by communism. As recently as 1970, North Korea was richer than South Korea, but communism ruined everything.
Right.
But the result is very cheap, disciplined, educated labor with lots of natural resources, huge amounts of natural resources in the north, on the Chinese border, and in the south you have lots of management ability, capital. You can do lots of things. And North Korea has lots of females. You have a shortage of females in South. You don't want to marry Vietnamese women the rest of your life. You can marry Korean women.
I know you are particularly interested in the agriculture business in North Korea. Why is it so?
Well, it's not so much that I'm interested in it, it's just that North Korean agriculture is a disaster. You know, the last time I was there a few years ago, they were cutting the grass with scythes. You know, just bring lawnmowers in and you would increase productivity. But if you bring in fertilizer, tractors, machines, seeds, North Korean agriculture could grow by leaps and bounds. I mean, Korea is not a great agriculture place. This is not Australia. This is not Argentina. But the agriculture could get much, much, much better with a few modern techniques.
So you're still looking forward to visiting North Korea.
Extremely.
When do you think will the day come for you to be in North Korea for the third time?
You ask Washington. I'm a citizen of the land of the free. We're not very free in America. I cannot go right now. I want to go. As soon as I'm allowed, I'll go again.
In your capacity as the big player in the international financial market, can you see any role, if any, you can play in helping promote the talks between the U.S. and North Korea?
I'm not a big player anyway. I'm just a small person. Well, I can voice the reasons that it should happen, but this is really up to Donald Trump more than anybody else. Well, Donald Trump and Pompeo, and they have their own minds, right or wrong. The American military is very influential. The American military does not want to leave, but you know, if they get it together, it's going to happen one way or the other.
You once suggested that North Korea take a cue from China. China, as you know, opened up its market
yes.
under the rule of Deng Xiaoping. That was 40 years ago. Do you think China model can still work for North Korea as well?
Well, it's going to work its own way. It could be the Vietnamese model, many models, but that's not relevant. What's relevant is that there is entrepreneurship there now. They're worried about the economy now. For the last 30 years in North Korea, the signs all said, the propaganda all said, military, defense, army. Now the signs say economy, economy. Let's get rich. So now the emphasis, everybody in North Korea wants to live like you do. They don't want to live in North Korea. They want to live the way China, even China is better than what they have now, and they all want it. This is not 1989. Mr. Lee, you cannot lie to them anymore. They know what the truth. And so it's coming, and they're now interested in the economy and developing and growing rapidly, whatever way. And they have the advantage that you will help them.
So you're sure that Chairman Kim Jong-un will be the North Korea's Deng Xiaoping? Someday.
He already is. He already is.
He already is.
You know, there are 15 free trade zones up there. There are bicycle races, a ski resort now. He's opening up in many, many ways. So no, it's happening.
So you've been to North Korea twice,
Yes.
I remember. And what impressed you most?
Well, the second time was more, what impressed me the most was that they were opening up. There was entrepreneurship. I went to a market with hundreds of stalls, entrepreneurs, and they had products from everywhere. You read American propaganda and South Korean propaganda, they don't have any. Gosh, they had alcohol from all over the world. They had electronics I'd never seen before. They were so advanced. No, it's what impressed me the most, I guess, on that trip was that the economy was open. They all wanted to buy and sell. They all wanted a better life.
Okay, now let's turn to economy and investment. In December last year, you became the outside director of the Ananti Group.
Yes.
And I know the job was offered by the Chinese company. I forgot the name, but how's Ananti doing now? And what's the prospect of Ananti?
Well, the main reason for enthusiasm about Ananti for me is the fact that we do have a property in North Korea. So at one time, North Korea had said, yes, we will do business with you. As you know, there was a tragedy and the property's been closed for over 10 years. But that has great, once it opens again, you know, even before it was sold out for a year when it had to close. So when it opens again, it should be one of the centers of North Korean tourism, at least for a while. It's one of the few places there. And by the way, Mr. Lee, you know, if you look at the last few decades, Korea has not been on people's tourism map. If people think about going to Asia, they think of China, Japan, Bali. They don't think of Korea for many reasons. But Korea, north and south, you have many historic sites, beaches, mountains, food. This is a fabulous place to visit, but nobody's been, very few people have been here for decades. Once it opens up again, first the curious are going to come, and then people are going to say, it's a great place. So this whole peninsula has a great future for being rediscovered by the tourist.
Okay, great. For many Koreans, you are a legendary figure.
No.
I just introduced you as an investment guru. In your past record, That's not an exaggeration. Tell us something more about your investment strategy.
Well,
any hot tips for Korean
hot
audience?
tips. My best hot tip is don't listen to hot tips. Hot tips will make you broke, I promise you. You should only invest in what you yourself know a lot about. Don't listen to me. Don't listen to anybody. Don't listen to guys on the internet, TV. Just stay with what you know is the best investment advice. And there are going to be many, many opportunities in the Korean Peninsula in the future. You know, they're going to rebuild the railroad on the East Coast and the West Coast. Yes. This is going to be a transportation hub again. No, there are many exciting things happening here in your own neighborhood.
Let's talk about a little more about the outlook, the general outlook of Korean economy. Obviously, the economy has been cooling off these days. What's your view on the future of the Korean
Korea is a great trading nation, and many trading nations are slowing down now. China's trying to reduce its debt, which means it has to slow down. It's one of your first or second largest trading partner, so that's going to affect you. Japan and America are in a trade war. You're in sort of a trade war with America. So no, things are slowing down here. The rest of the world is going to have problems in the next year or two for many, many reasons, and that's going to affect you. But, Mr. Lee, you will be less badly affected because as this frontier opens up, there's a huge frontier in the north where lots of activity is going to take place. And so you will be affected, but not as badly affected as other countries.
Wow.
This
is great news. Okay. Occasionally you voice some concerns about the arrival of another big financial crisis.
Well, Mr. Lee, we've always had financial crisis from the beginning of time, every country in the world, and we're going to continue to have financial problems periodically. Not every day, not every year, but it's been over 10 years, I'll use America, since America had a financial problem. So we're well overdue. It's the longest in American history. It's going to come again. In 2008, we had problems because of too much debt. Well, since then, the debt everywhere in the world has skyrocketed. So the next time we have a financial problem, it's going to be very bad. I mean, it's a simple statement. And people who say it's not going to happen, well, maybe it's never going to happen again.
My question is this around the corner, or are there any signs of imminent danger?
It's already started. In 2007, Iceland went bankrupt. Nobody knew. Then a few months later, Ireland went bankrupt. A few months later, Bear Stearns went bankrupt. Northern Rock went bankrupt. And then Lehman Brothers. By the time Lehman Brothers went bankrupt, I mean, it was months later, but by then everybody knew. It's already started. Argentina, Latvia, Venezuela, Turkey, Indonesia. These countries it's already starting. But nobody notices because these are small countries, but it's working its way. Soon, and slowing down in Korea, slowing down in China, soon everybody's going to know.
Okay. In addition
you're in a good position because everybody's going to watch to find out what's going on. You know, when there's a disaster, everybody has to watch SEN to see what's happening. So you're in a good position.
That's why we invited you to
that's why I came. That's why I came. I know this will be a center in the future of what do we do next. You watch SEN.
Okay, thank you. In addition to North Korea, which country has the most potential for growth and investment? And
well, right now,
the reason why.
Since many people are going to have problems, you should Venezuela. Venezuela is a disaster, a horrible catastrophe.
Yes, that's right.
Well, it's not going to get much worse. I have learned in my career that if you invest in places like that, and they don't come along every year, but usually 5 years later, whatever, you're really happy because things do get better. Right now, Zimbabwe. I recently bought a few shares in Zimbabwe. What a disaster. Horrible disaster. Been ruined. You know, if you find countries like that, I bought some more shares in Russia recently. Russia's hated by everybody, everywhere. So you have to worry that when we're going to have an economic problem, if you're going to invest, you need to invest in countries that are already at the bottom, because they're not going to get hurt much worse. And some of them will get better. well, we can't do much of anything until it opens. You know, the border's still closed. The 38th parallel is still closed, but once it opens, then we will go and we will renew the project, and who knows what will happen. You know what? There's going to be enormous opportunity and excitement on the Korean Peninsula. You're lucky to be Korean in 2019.
Upon your arrival in Incheon on Wednesday, I was told you said we Koreans are fortunate to be here in Korea in the year of 2019.
Mr. Lee, Korea is going to be the single most exciting country in the world for the next 10 or 20 years because of what's happening here. China for the next century, but China is much bigger, but for the next 10 or 20 years, this is going to be the place to be. You've got everything. 80 million people on the Chinese border, cheap labor, natural resources, lots of capital, expertise. This is the place to be.
Okay, but I'm sure not many Koreans will agree with you because the economy is not in good shape now. Air pollution is getting worse.
Yes, well, that's true.
Unemployment is
Many
high.
places are getting worse. I said, you're going to face problems. We all are. But you have the new frontier. Other countries don't have something like that.
Okay.
When it all opens up, when there is no 38th parallel, then lots of interesting things are going to happen.
Mr. Rogers, you have many Korean friends, including journalists like me, and as well as your business partners. How do you characterize Korean people in general? What's the most distinguishing characteristics of Korean people in your view?
Well, historically, Korea's had lots of hard workers, lots of brains, lots of entrepreneurs. Now, the past few years, because of the war, some of that has been suppressed. Many young Koreans now want to work for the government. Can you imagine? Teenagers around the world want to be football players, pop stars, Bill Gates. They don't want to work, but in Korea, South Korea, they want to work for the government. That's partly because the situation is, well, you know the situation, but as that changes, you're going to see more of an entrepreneurial spirit come back, and you're going to see lots of people starting businesses, working hard for companies, and you're going to see a very exciting and interesting place again.
Okay. Thank you. Let's touch on some personal things. I heard you are a big fan of the Korean K-pop culture. And you are a big fan of the Korean girl group Blackpink?
Well, listen, I have to tell you, I know nothing of my daughters. I have two young daughters. They love Korean K-pop. And my last time I was here, 2 or 3 years, my daughter came because of K-pop. She wanted to. She didn't want to come with me. She wanted to keep. And the other night we went to the Blackpink concert. I didn't even fall asleep. I stayed awake the whole time. It was a lot of fun.
I know one of your daughters is also fluent in Chinese, maybe both.
Both, yeah.
Did you taught them yourself?
Well, not me. I'm not very smart, no. But I realized 25 years ago that everybody should learn Mandarin, maybe 30 years ago. And so when I had the children, I made sure that they learned Mandarin. I speak no Mandarin. I'm hopeless. But I knew that in their lifetime, Mandarin was going to be an extremely important language. Listen, my daughters are on CCTV. They call them up from Beijing and say, please come to Beijing. One of my little girls is going to be in a movie, Chinese movie soon. Because they call us, we don't call them, because my daughters are so amazing. And I speak no Mandarin. So it's not my fault, but my daughters apparently speak brilliant Mandarin.
So what prompted you to settle in Singapore? You've been to...
Well, I wanted to live in China. I wanted to live in a Chinese-speaking nation to make sure that they continued to speak Mandarin.
I see.
The cities in China are too polluted. We tried several cities in China, but they're very polluted. So Singapore, they speak English and they speak Mandarin. And so I said, that would be great. And so off we went and everything works in Singapore. So off we went to Singapore and we're very happy.
Okay. I envy personally your love of sports and adventure, and you published the book Street Smarts.
Yes, yes.
And the term street smart I came to learn in 1987 when I first came to New York. And what's the meaning of being street smart in the market in the first place?
Well, street smarts has a dual meaning. In English, street smarts means you can live life as it is, practical. You can be practical and have common sense, and you can make it in the world, on the street, on the street. It also means you can make it on Wall Street. In America, it's called the street, which means Wall Street. So if you can make it in street smarts with common sense and the world, but you can also make it on Wall Street with money, you might have a good life.
Okay.
And I hope everybody has good adventure. The main point of that book was everybody should have adventure in their life.
We'd love to, but you've been traveling around the world by car,
and by motorcycle.
by
yes.
motorcycle,
Yes.
and what kind of experience? Any anecdotes
Mr. Lee,
you'd like to share with us?
I spent 2 years going around the world on a motorcycle,
Wow.
and 3 years in a car. So I spent 5 years driving around the world.
My God.
The advice is do it, but be careful because you could get killed. Many people get killed. So I'm lucky to be alive. I'm very lucky to be. I'm happy to be alive, but no. But everybody should see the world. I've told my daughters, for instance, okay, if you want to go to university, go, but you cannot go close to home. You have to go far away. Wherever we live, you must go far away to university because that will teach you a great deal about yourself and about the world.
Okay, thank you very much. Lastly, any words for North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at this point?
Well, what I suggest, Mr. Kim and Mr. Moon, they go to the 38th parallel, they meet, and they start taking down all the barriers, and they have a K-pop concert, and they open the borders. And I promise you, everything will work out. There are 80 million Koreans, smart, ambitious, motivated, many of them. This will all be sorted out. You've been here for 5,000 years running this peninsula. You can run this peninsula again without Washington, D.C., and I would get it done. The sooner the better. And by the way, if you do it, please get me tickets to the concert. I want to take my daughters to the concert.
All right. We'd like to find a way to invite you to the concert.
Thank you.
Hopefully. Okay, Jim, thank you for sharing your insight with us.
Thank you, Mr. Lee.
Thank
My
you very
pleasure.
much. 로저스 회장은 2019년 우리 한국인이 여기에 있는 것이 정말 행운이라고 말합니다. 이 투자의 대가는 북한에 투자하는 것은 환상적인 기회가 될 것이며 북미 관계가 잘 풀려갈 것이라고 매우 낙관적인 전망을 하고 있습니다. 여러분 어떻게 보셨습니까? 전 세계를 돌면서 투자는 거리에서 경험을 통해서 배워야 한다는 스트리트 스마트 정신을 설파하고 있는 로저스 회장의 통찰을 여러분 함께 하셨습니다. 시청해주신 여러분 대단히 감사합니다.